And yeah, I just was so overwhelmed with gratitude. I was crying, and I wanted to just bring a little bit of that into our practice today. This, it's cheesy, but I love alliteration, this attitude of gratitude, because gratitude is really like a life hack. It's one of the best ways to really stay connected, really stay present to all of the good in your life. And it helps, definitely when you're working with the law of attraction, it helps to cultivate a daily practice of gratitude, whatever that looks like for you. So we will be doing a little gratitude meditation. Or we're just thinking of things that we're grateful for. If you'd like to write them out, go ahead and grab a piece of paper or a journal or something. We'll get to that in class, but I really just want to focus on just this idea of like what gratitude can do. Because especially when working with the law of attraction, we are magnets, and we are the conduits of all the energy in the world, and we get to choose whether we are putting out and attracting positive ions, positive energy, or negative. And what we put out is what we get back. So if we're constantly focusing on the negative, if we're always feeling like the world is against us, if we're living from a place of scarcity and fear, and we're constantly putting that out there, we're going to attract more of that back. And if you're never expressing gratitude for all the things that you have, universe, source, God as you understand it, whatever it is that you put your faith in, is going to be like, yo, you got some good things going on and you're not appreciating it. So like, why would I give you more good? Like, I'm just going to give you more of what you're asking for, more of what you're drawing in, more of what you're focusing in, because where our energy goes, attention flows. No, I said that wrong. Where our attention goes, energy flows. So, I'm sure we've all had that friend who, lives in scarcity, lives in fear, is, kind of a Debbie Downer. And it can be hard to, after, a certain amount of time, it can be hard to be around them. When no matter what's happening, they find something wrong, they find something to complain about, they find the negative in the world. And we've all had those friends that just seem to have this, well, hopefully we have these people in our lives, this just eternal positivity, or at least just have some sort of, gratitude, practice in their lives, just some sense of gratitude. Because the more you are grateful for, and the more you really tune in to what you have to be grateful for, the more it's revealed to you of what you actually have, and you're putting those energy, those ions, you're putting that all out there, and that's all going to come back. So, attitude of gratitude, that's what we're working on cultivating today through class. So grab your props, grab some water if you want, maybe put on some nice chill music, and let's get started. So we are going to start on our backs in a nice active rest. So we will come down onto the backs, feet planted, knees bent. You're welcome to fill in that space with some props, or just keep the feet on the ground as we come down. Feel free to, make some adjustments. Maybe you tuck the tailbone down, or kind of puff up through the chest and tuck the shoulders underneath. Allergies going crazy this time of year. Just take your time to get nice and settled. And then bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. Welcome to soften the gaze or close the eyes. Taking a moment to just settle in. Noticing any sounds outside of you, outside of the space that you're in, any distant sounds. You may even pick up on some sounds on my end. I live in a very busy area of town. Just using
the outside noise, just to kind of orient yourself in your space. Become a little more present and trying to not let them become distractions or even just little annoyances. And starting to draw your awareness inward, starting to connect to the physical body. Feeling all the areas that are connected to the earth being held and supported here. Starting to pay attention to how you're feeling in the body, any aches or pains, any tension or tenderness, any injury, anything that's going on for you. Without trying to bring in any expectation or any judgment. Just having a level of acceptance of your body as it is. Even if you struggle having a positive relationship with your body, maybe for right now, maybe just try to feel a little neutral. Or if, love is a far reach, maybe feeling respectful of your body. Or perhaps finding one thing about your body that you're thankful for. About your breath, your ability to think, your ability to move. Try to think of at least, you can think of many more, but at least just one thing that you can thank your body for. And focusing on that one thing as you continue to connect to your body. Letting this gratitude for your body really start to move its way around. Perhaps even, sending this gratitude to the areas of the body that you may not be so thankful for, that you maybe struggle to have a positive or loving relationship with. Just see how that feels. No forcing, no judgment, no expectations. See what bringing a little bit of gratitude into the body feels like. As you continue to connect to the body, start to notice your breath. You may have felt the rise and the fall of the chest or of the belly as you breathe. With the hands on the heart and the belly. Starting to notice the breath, starting to connect to this beautiful, amazing process that happens. The special part of our brain that keeps us breathing without us having to think about it. Which is pretty cool, and that's something to be grateful for. Imagine if we just had to remind ourselves every single breath. We wouldn't be able to do much of anything else. We sometimes do need to remind ourselves to breathe, to take deep breaths, to harness the power of the breath. Luckily, the breath is also something that naturally occurs. So perhaps taking a moment to just be thankful for the air we breathe. Be thankful for our ability to breathe. And for our ability to harness the power of the breath. if it would feel right for you, we'll start to remove the hands from the belly and the heart and turn the palms up. Let the arms come alongside the body. They could reach out, anywhere along the body, out to a T, out to a goalpost. But something where we're a little more open, a little more receptive. As we do, just starting to bring a little awareness to how you're feeling emotionally, energetically. If the mind is racing, or if you're able to settle a little bit more into your present moment. Again, no expectation, no judgment. And along with the breath, that we don't always recognize the power of the ability that we have with the breath. Take a moment to be aware of the fact that we can have 50,000 thoughts a day. And we have this ability to step back and to observe those things. We can observe the mind, we can observe the thoughts. We have this witness, or if you want to call it the soul, the spirit, your intuition, your consciousness, whatever it is that you identify as that part of you that can observe the thoughts, that can observe the body. How cool is it that we have this level of consciousness where we're self-aware. We can connect to our body. We have a body, but we are not our bodies. We have a mind. We can connect to the mind, but we are not our thoughts. The true essence of us is that witness, is that consciousness, that ability we have to observe, and learning to observe without attachment. It's the goal of mindfulness. And with this ability to step back and observe, what can you be thankful for in this moment? Even if it's just one thing. What is it that we can be grateful for in this moment? As we continue through our practice, continue to connect to the body, to connect to the breath, to observe the mind with compassion, with non-judgment, with a little bit of gratitude for our ability to do so. As you feel ready, let's just start to bring a little movement in the knees side to side. Some little windshield wipers. You can play with the positioning of the feet. Maybe you want to take the feet out a little bit wider. You're welcome to pause on each side with the knees dropped over to one side. Maybe lengthening a little bit more through the leg that is turned in, giving a little additional stretch through the hip flexor, the quad, the glute. Just finding a little movement here. A little bit of twisting. And as you feel ready, drawing the knees back up towards center, walking the feet in. And then we'll start to lift the feet off the ground, bringing the knees in towards the chest. Hands come to the outsides of the knees, tops of the knees. They could interlace. Or you could wrap the arms around, lift up through the head, and give yourself a little squeeze, hugging the legs in. Give yourself a little self-hug. You could release the head down if it's raised. Maybe some rocking side to side, or taking some circles through the knees. Pressing the low back, the pelvis into the mat, maybe even getting a little self-massage. When you're ready, bringing the hands to the knees, right hand on right knee, left hand on left knee. Flex the toes back, and then use the hands to gently guide the knees open. Guiding them open to either side. Hands can gently create a little more pressure, a little more opening. Not too much, we're not forcing anything here. Gravity can just do all the work here if you want, but if you want to give gravity a little assist, then the hands are there. Toes are flexed back, nice and active. If this is feeling awesome, you're welcome to stay here in this reclined frog pose. You could also take this into a happy baby, which just kind of switches up the sensation a little bit. You still get the opening in the hips, but again, just kind of moves things around. So you could draw the knees in towards the chest. You still have the feet flexed back. As you send the feet up towards the sky, knees bent. Hands could come behind the knees and you are up the legs, or grabbing onto the outsides of the knee or of the feet. And then again, you can use the hands. Gravity can do its job here, or you can use the hands, kind of drive the knees down towards the ground. So just whatever feels best for you here. You could rock side to side, you could stretch the legs out. You could do that same thing if this reclined frog felt a little bit better, a little side to side. You could shimmy through the hips. Connecting to your breath, observing the body, observing the mind. And taking a moment in whatever hip opener you're in to find something that you're grateful for. Just one thing. It could be associated with this pose, or not. And one more thing that you have to be grateful for right now in this moment. We'll continue to work with the hips, so release the feet down. We're going to set up for a figure four. So we're going to start by planting the left foot and extending the right leg up towards the sky. We're still flexing those toes back, and then turn the right toes out towards the right, so you get this external rotation through the whole right leg. So the right toes and the right knee rotate out, rotating through the femur, and we're bending in the right knee, crossing the right ankle on top of the left knee. And we want to open up through that right knee. So continuing with that external rotation to find this opening in the hips, or in the right hip. You are so welcome to stay here. Getting some sensation. If you're maybe wanting to explore a little more sensation, you can start to draw the left knee in towards the chest. You could bring in a prop, something to set the foot on, so it's nice and passive here. You could also thread the hands through, interlace behind the knee. You could come to the top of the knee, the top of the on the shin, but also know that that does create a bigger bend in the knee, so that may not feel awesome. I like to come behind the knee. And in doing so, I will then want to flex the left toes back. So right toes are still flexed back, so nice and active. And again, you can stay here. If you do want to explore a little bit of movement, maybe a little more sensation, you could find a little side-to-side movement if that would feel good. And then again, we can use the limbs to create a little more resistance, just a little bit. So you could bring the right elbow to the right knee to gently press it open. You could also use the hands, if the hands are interlaced behind the knee, to draw the knee towards the left shoulder. So that will maybe create, I feel a little more sensation definitely in the outer right hip and glute. I also feel a little bit in my left hip flexor. So you've got all those different options to explore, knowing that one is not better than the other. I always like to give options so that you can find what works for you. I took a class last week and it was really cute what the teacher said. She was giving a bunch of different options. She's like, imagine, we're all on a bus. We're all riding the bus home. We all have different destinations and we're all on different journeys. So all these different options are just different stops on the bus. And where I get off, where my stop is going to be different from where your stop is. Because again, we're on different journeys. We have different destinations. So we have different stops. So all of these options that I give, they're not ranked in a hierarchy. They're not beginner, intermediate, advanced. They're just different options, different places for you to stop that fit your journey today, that fit the adventure that you're on today, that fit the destination of where you're trying to go with your practice today. So you're never forced to do anything. You have the autonomy in your practice to decide what is best for you because you know what it feels like in your body. Or maybe starting to connect to what it feels like in your body. Some of us are working on connecting to the body. And the society makes it all too easy for us to disassociate, for us to disembody, especially those of us who have gone through trauma. We tend to disconnect from the body and, it feels almost foreign to us to feel. So as part of your own practice, it is to start to feel into the body. To not just follow some cookie cutter, approach to what yoga is or what a pose should look like. It's all about what a pose feels like in your body. And if it doesn't feel safe, don't do it. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. If something inside of you is saying, don't do it. You are your biggest teacher, your greatest teacher. So trust that. We'll take a few more rounds of breath here in our figure 4. Notice if you can soften anywhere, if you're clenching in the jaw, the neck, or the shoulders. And whenever you feel ready, we'll start to lower the left foot down towards the ground if it was raised up, moving any props that are there. And from here, we're going to set up a twist. So you can take twisted pigeon or four-legged figure four twist. So leaving the legs as they are. You may want to shift the hips over towards the right so that we are just realigning through the spine. And then letting the knees drop over towards the left. Definitely they don't need to touch. Don't force that. They can come down to hover. They can come down onto a prop. If it doesn't feel good to keep the legs in that shape, uncross through the legs. Well, you could continue to cross the legs all the way over, taking a cross-legged twist. You could uncross through the legs, stacking the knees, taking a twist. Whatever variation of a twist you'd like to take. Again, find your bus stop. Find what stop works for you on your journey into this pose. So noticing where you're feeling the sensation. Knowing that we don't need to go very far into twists. So with the knees dropping over towards the left, you're welcome to roll more onto the left side of the body. Finding a more gentle version of a twist. You're also welcome to invite the right shoulder towards the earth. It doesn't need to touch. That's going to be a little more intense twist, a little more depth to the twist, which may be a good thing for you today and may not be a good thing for you today. While we're here, in this moment, just think of one simple thing that you're grateful for. No repeats, nothing that you've already thought of in our practice. It can be something small, it can be something big. Just think of one thing that you have to be grateful for right now. We won't be here for too much longer, just a few more rounds of breath. But let the gratitude fill the body. Fill the body, there we go. Fill it up. Feel that gratitude with every cell in your body. Beautiful work. When you feel ready, nice and slow, we'll come out of our twist. Start to bring the knees, in whatever position they are, back up through center. So legs are crossed, uncross them. Take any movements here that would feel good. Maybe revisiting windshield wipers. Or, drawing the knees in towards the chest. Maybe taking a happy baby or anything else that the body is asking for. Maybe extending the legs up and shaking them out. Or something else. Listen to your body. Tune in. And whenever you feel ready, we'll set up our pose on the other side. So with the knees bent, feet planted, we'll extend the left toes up towards the sky. I will flex the right or the left toes back. The leg doesn't need to be straight, that's unnecessary. And then we'll turn the left toes, the left knee out towards the left. So you're rotating the femur in the hip socket, getting that external rotation. We're bending the knee, crossing the left ankle on top of the right knee, and then letting that left knee open up. Awesome work. Breathe here. And maybe this is your stop. Maybe this is where you get off. This is your ending point. And the journey of this pose, or the beginning of the pose, since we just got into it. And again, you have the other stops, the other options. If you want to explore more or different sensation, lifting the right foot, you can place it on top of a block. Super passive here, just again creating a little more sensation. You could also bring in a little more activity by interlacing the hands behind the knee. Again, they could also come to the front of the shin, but recognizing that's a big bend in that knee, so may not feel so awesome. Keeping those left toes flexed back. If the right foot's raised, flex the right toes back so that the legs are nice and active. A couple other options that you have to explore, maybe some gentle rocking side to side. Or again, using the limbs as leverage, you could bring the left elbow to the left knee, gently pressing it open. You could also use the hands to gently draw the right knee more towards the right shoulder. Finding what works for you on this side. It may not be the same on this side as the other, nor does it have to be. Finding your breath, finding the sensations in the body. Even noticing and honoring any differences on each side. Maybe you get off at a different stop on this side than the other. And that is perfectly fine. Each pose, each side is its own journey, its own destination. Each moment is its own journey with its own destination. Take a few more rounds of breath here. Whenever you feel ready, lowering the right foot down towards the ground if it was raised up, and setting ourselves up for a twist. So we'll want to lift and shift the hips over towards the left just to realign through the spine. And then we'll let the legs drop over towards the right. Again, they could land on a block or a prop, a stack of props. And if maintaining that figure 4 shape with the leg doesn't feel awesome, got those other options. You cross the legs, taking a cross-legged twist. You could stack the knees, uncrossing through the legs. You can take any variation of a twist. Again, you can use any configuration of props to support you on this side. Tuning in, again, you could roll more onto the right shoulder for a more gentle twist. You could open up through the chest, inviting the left shoulder towards the ground. Absolutely does not need to touch. And again, here, just think of another thing that you're grateful for. It can be small, it can be big. It can be anything. Just let yourself be truly grateful. It almost sounded like I said grateful. Grateful in this moment. gratitude soak into the body. Finding your breath. Couple more rounds here. Once again, as you feel ready, slowly untwisting. Knees back up towards center and crossing through the legs if they're crossed, and taking any movements, anything that would feel good here. And when you are ready, we're going to make our way to a seated position. So rolling onto one side of the body, pressing ourselves up. And in our seat, you may want to sit up on a prop. I like to sit up on a blanket, give my booty a little lift, which creates a little more space in the hips. If you want more space, grab a bigger blanket, sit up on a block, on a prop, on a pillow. We did a lot of work on the lower body, so let's just bring a little love and gratitude to the upper body. So as you feel ready, reaching the arms down alongside the body and then sending them out. Raising them up just as high as feels okay. Starting to bring the hands together. And we'll lower our hands down to heart center. Pressing into the hands, we'll start to raise the elbows, either to where it feels comfortable or until they're parallel to the wrists. Now this is a pretty extreme bend on the wrist, so if that doesn't feel good, elbows can be down here or they can be up here. And we're pressing in, so we're creating some friction here. Hands are pressing evenly. Sit up nice and tall, relax in the shoulders. Nice work. When you're ready, we'll start to take the gaze over the right shoulder, and then we'll shift the fingers over towards the left shoulder. Getting a little stretch through the neck, through the wrist, through the forearm. And then we'll come back through center with the head and the hands. And we'll take it to the other side. We'll take the gaze over to the left, hand shift over towards the right, and back through center. Awesome work. Stay nice and active in the hands. Hands pressing in. We'll take a few more rounds here. Looking in the opposite direction of where the hand is going. Back through center. Taking it to the other side. Taking this as fast or slow as you'd like. As we move through the neck, through this everyday range of motion that we take, looking side to side, what can you be grateful for? What can you see around you to be grateful for? Or what does this movement in the neck allow you to see in your daily lives that you are grateful for? Awesome work. Just a couple more rounds.
So you feel ready, making your way back towards center. Pausing here for a moment, maybe even tucking the chin down towards the chest, thumbs in towards the heart, relaxing in the shoulders and in the elbows. Feeling grateful. And as you feel ready, taking this gratitude in the hands and in the heart. Send the hands forward. Open up, palms turn up. Send the thumbs back, chest opens, gaze could lift, stretching through the scapulas, opening up through the chest. We'll bring it all back together. Rounding out, tucking in through the chin. You can even rock back a little bit. Palms stay facing up. Again, offering our gratitude. Opening up to receive. And starting to bring it back in. Rounding out. Opening up through the back side of the heart. A few more like this. Opening up, chest comes forward, shoulder blades draw together, gaze lifts. Bring it back in. Opening up. Sharing our gratitude with the world. Bringing it back in. Let's do one more. Open up, lengthen out, look up, and bring it all back in. Beautiful work. Coming back up to sit. Release the hands down to the legs, to the thighs, to the knees. And let's just circle through the torso. As big or as small as you'd like. Just finding a little fluid movement in the upper body. You could keep the chest high, you could drop it down low. When you feel ready, take those circles in the opposite direction. One last little bit of shoulder work. If you'd like to bring a little sensation into the hips, you can take a double pigeon, which can be intense. So I'll give a quick rundown of it. So you're crossing the legs, but then you're bringing one ankle on top of the opposite knee. So you start with the right foot, knee bent, kind of like you're just sitting in a regular cross-legged position. Then you do want to sometimes work a little bit to kind of bring the shin parallel to the mat, but that's not fully necessary at the beginning. And then we're going to cross the left ankle on top, and we really want to find a squaring in the sits bones. This is where a little lift in the booty is going to be really nice. And I am super tight in my hips. I also went for a run today, so they're extra tight. So I like to use a prop to fill in that space. Some people won't have as much space. I mean, you can see I've got a whole block's length, and that's totally cool. If your knee drops all the way down to the ankle, that's cool. And if you're anywhere in between, it's all cool. It's all good. Meet yourself where you are. There's a lot of sensation going on. So you don't have to take this with the legs. This is just an option if you want to play a little bit more with the hips. What we're really getting into is some eagle arms. So we're going to open up through the arms, sitting up nice and tall. We're going to bring the arms together. We're going to cross right elbow on top, and then we're going to bend the elbows. Now, you can reach for opposite shoulders. You could bring the backs of the hands to touch, Or you could maybe try to go for a little double wrap, working the palms to touch, but that's crazy talk, to have the palms completely like lined up. You'd have to have like Gumby arms for that. So, whichever level, again, if you want to go for the double wrap, single wrap, grabbing the shoulders, it's all doing the same thing. Just different bus stops for your journey. Lift the elbows up, draw them forward. So really opening up in those back scapulas, in the scapulas, since we only have ones in the back. We don't have them in the front. Sitting up nice and tall. Checking in with the hips if you're taking our double pigeon here. Breathe. More options that you have. If you'd like, you could tuck the chin down towards the chest, finding a little more length through the back of the neck. If you want to stretch the sides of the neck with the head raised, you could start to take the elbows over towards the left and the gaze over towards the right. So again, just more options to explore sensation. There will be different sensations. One's not better than the other. Different stops on your journey for different destinations. Find what works for you. We won't be here for long. About 3 or so more rounds of breath. Beautiful work. When you're ready, bringing everything back towards center, if they were anywhere else besides them. Uncrossing through the arms, opening up, and releasing the hands down. Uncrossing through the legs if they're crossed. Taking any movements, any stretches, anything that would feel good here. Since you know where we're going, we won't take too much longer there, because we got a Shavasana to get to. If you're taking that double pigeon, left heel comes in, flexing the left toes back. Flexing through the right toes, right ankle goes on top of left knee. And then adjust to find a squaring through the hips. This side is not as tight as the other side, but still tight enough to where I want to fill that space in with a block. Feet are nice and active. Again, just an option. This is a lot of intensity going on. You don't have to take this in the legs. You can take any other cross-legged or extended position. You could even sit in a chair. Whatever works best for you, so we can work with the shoulders, work with the eagle arms. So when you're ready, opening up the arms to either side. Bringing the arms forward. This time, left elbow comes on top. We bend the elbows, grabbing onto the shoulders, scapulas, or lifting, bringing the backs of the hands to touch, or a little double wrap to bring the fronts of the hands together. Whatever works for you on this side. Again, just different bus stops. Elbows lift up and away, so we're opening up through that upper back, through the scapulas. Flex the toes back if you're in that pigeon, or double pigeon. And again, you have those options to explore here. You could stay here. You could tuck the chin down and towards the chest. Or with the head lifted, you could shift the elbows over towards the right. Gaze comes over the left. I start to feel that a little bit more through my upper left neck, shoulder area. So whatever feels good, whatever works for you. This is again the last pose before we take our Shavasana. So 3 more rounds of breath. You got this. Connect to the breath, connect to the body. Beautiful. As you feel ready, bring it all back to center if it would travel away. Uncross through the arms. Open up nice and wide. Release them down. Uncross through the legs if they're crossed. Take any movements that would feel good. And we'll start to transition towards our Shavasana. If there are any final movements that you'd like to take, anything that'll help round out your practice, either seated or lying down. Take as much time as you like to explore any final movements, anything that'll help you settle in. When you are ready to set up your Shavasana, you can take corpse pose, lying on the back, palms turned up, toes turned out. You could use props to support you in any way. If you're on the back, you could slide a blanket, bolster, push cushions, pillows underneath the knees. You could support the head, you could support the back of the heart, wrap up in a blanket. If lying on your back doesn't feel awesome, since I know that's how we started, you may not want to go back to that. You could lay on your side, you could lay on your belly, you could stay in a seated meditation. I know it's weird for some people to have options in Shavasana, but we're all different. We all have different experiences. Sometimes lying on the back can be the worst thing for the body. Or if we've had trauma, sometimes that can trigger us. So I don't believe in trying to force anyone into any position that doesn't feel right for their body. There's no cookie cutter approach to yoga. You can create the yoga practice that fits you. And that includes your Shavasana, your final relaxation. The goal is to find a position that you can fully release, fully relax. And as you make your way into that position, and using props to support you in any way, not bringing any judgment or expectations, allow yourself to fully surrender, releasing the body, releasing the breath, releasing the mind. And while we're here, taking one last moment to think of something that we are grateful for. One last moment to really feel into that. Maybe even bring a smile to your face. When we get into the habit of practicing gratitude, especially an intentional practice of gratitude, I can attest to this. You can create a release of serotonin, a release of dopamine, a release of those good, happy hormones, just by thinking about what you're grateful for and letting that feeling consume you. And I'm not talking about toxic positivity. I am not saying that you have to be positive in every moment and you have to, pretend like the darkness doesn't exist or push away any icky feelings. Because we can find gratitude even in the hardest of times, even in the darkest, dirtiest shadow side of us. There is something to be grateful for. There is always something to learn, new ways to grow, new ways to evolve. So practicing and expressing gratitude is not the same as toxic positivity. Because we're acknowledging what we have to be grateful for. We're not forcing ourselves to be happy. We're not forcing ourselves to do anything. We're not bypassing anything. We're just thinking of all the things we have to be grateful for. And the more we tune into that, the more things come into our awareness of what we're grateful for. And that snowballs into not only us recognizing more things we have to be grateful for, but us drawing in more things to be grateful for. So in these last final moments of class, in this last little bit of silence, allow this feeling of gratitude to resonate through every cell in your body. Feel it so much that you can't help but smile. Even if it's just one small, little simple thing. Let your gratitude become so immense that it feels like you can't even contain it in your body. Let yourself just be in this moment of gratitude. If you have more time to dedicate to your Shavasana, please do. Turn off this video and give yourself as much time as you can. At least 5 minutes, upwards of 20. Whatever you can carve out to continue to feel into the surrender to gratitude. If you're ready to wrap up your practice with me, gently start to bring some movement back into your body. However you'd like to get there, if not already, we'll meet up in a seated position, but take your time to get here. Be nice and gentle with yourself. I'll invite you to bring the hands to heart center or take any other meaningful gesture with the hands. One last offering of gratitude to yourself for carving out this time, for turning on this video, and for putting in the work. It's something to be grateful for, that you are showing up for yourself. I am incredibly grateful for you for allowing me into your homes to share this magic of yoga. I see you, I honor you, and I bow to you. Namaste. Again, thank you to all of you who joined me